Hey, did you know I'm doing a toy drive for the kids? That's right. If you want to support underprivileged children this holiday season, click the link below or in my bio, and you'll be able to access our link to our toy drive. We're going through Amazon, so all you need to do is buy toys. You can see we've already got a ton of them. The more the merrier. We are looking for gifts still for the very young kids, as well as gifts for the older kids. Thank you to all who've already bought toys and donated. Seriously, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much, and enjoy the video. Next up, we have KJ. KJ is calling to tell us that Trump is good for the economy. Let's find out why he believes this and see what evidence he has. KJ, if you're there, can you please provide me your age and pronouns?
My age is 36, and I would be referred to as a he, him.
Fantastic. Now, KJ, you support Trump and you think he's good for the economy. By what metric are you measuring this?
Well, really, I only have one particular metric.
Okay.
I was trying to think of some others, but I was getting wrapped up in those those other calls. So I appreciate you trying to educate them on how to, have more logical consistency. But the main thing is press, social media, social influencing. You have a lot of people that are making their bag, either hating on him, or you have the opposite side where you have people making content in favor of him. So right there, you have countless people, and then the businesses that are connected, all the news outlets, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, wherever people are making content, the content creators are capitalizing with, either positive or negative content or comments about him.
Okay.
And then those companies are also profiting.
Okay.
So that's why I think
if a small portion is benefiting, does this mean that the economy as a whole is benefiting?
Well, that is a trickier question.
Okay, because that's what you said. Is you said he was good for the economy.
Okay, well, he's good for some people within the economy. He's good for the social media economy.
Sure, I wouldn't disagree that he's good for some people in the economy. Sure,
but to answer, I don't think it's necessarily possible to answer for every avenue of the economy, because every avenue is different. Like it depends on what industry that you're in, and it depends on.
Sure, let's look at some. Let's look at some economic factors as a whole. Let's just look at some broad scale economic factors. Okay. Oh shit. What the fuck? So for example, consumer electricity is up 18% overall. And it's looking to continue to rise. Consumer electricity is on the rise. It's going to keep going up. This has largely been attributed to the expansion of data centers in and around communities. For instance, I think it was Kentucky has seen its electricity rise by almost 22% because of data centers. And the infrastructure for data centers has been ramped up. Now, the reason for the infrastructure and data centers getting ramped up is because Trump passed an executive order, which made it easier for data centers to get federal approval for loans to build, to get approval to build on land. So I would argue Donald Trump is directly responsible for the rise in consumer electricity. Based on this, would you agree with just that premise?
What you said makes sense in the specific way that you framed it, but the spending for, or how much people have to pay for electricity is not necessarily an economic factor. Okay.
Spending.
This is what I mean about.
Hold on. But wait, KJ, I'm a little confused here. People having to spend more for something isn't telling us how the economy is doing. Is that what you're telling me? I would say
Well, okay,
spending is
you
directly
mentioned
tied to the economy.
Kentucky.
Go ahead. Yep.
You mentioned Kentucky. Like I said,
Hmm.
these, you can't necessarily look at the whole economy because we're going to have to isolate it to certain
Yeah, no,
areas.
we're gonna have
In
to
that
just look
same
at.
instance,
We have to just look at like small patch. We have to look at like individual sectors first. So I just started with an individual sector, which is cost of electricity being on the rise.
right, right, right. Um, hmm, how would I phrase this? Because I would go back to what I was saying about where your place in it, because building those data centers, what's the purpose of building the data centers? They're obviously,
It's for
for one,
AI.
that's facilitating. Okay, so it's facilitating something that we all use within our economy. Even if it makes their electricity prices go up, that's probably hundreds of jobs. That's
The predominant push of it is from generative
construction,
AI
labor,
models. So
all
it's
of
going to
that.
be like things like ChatGPT drawing things or making videos, or like Sora, or like Google's AI. Like it's going to be from generative AI, specifically in LMM models. Do you view generative AI as like a good thing overall? Because I would argue it's a massively bad thing that leads to um, that is actually going to lead to worse economic outcomes, because you're going to have, well, we can get into that, but do you believe, let me just start with the question. Do you believe generative AI to be a good thing?
Well, no, I want to hear the rest of what you were saying. What's the bad thing's going to lead to? Because I can't answer. Because I don't know what that is. I don't know what
Sure.
if it's
So
going to lead to something that I can
you ever been
evaluate. Yeah,
online and you see a video that someone's trying to claim to be true, but it's like very clearly AI, and like they're just spreading it around as like misinformation, and like, oh shit, this isn't true at all?
yeah.
Okay, that's generative AI that's
I
doing
don't
that.
think that's okay. I mean, that stuff has been out for decades,
No,
or maybe at
no,
least a
not
decade. They
not in
were
the way
showing stuff.
nowhere near in the way it is currently. No.
Well, yeah, true, true. But I can remember this was like right before. I don't think it was specific to Trump at the time, but it was like 2015 Facebook. I saw some video where they were talking about what the deep fakes. You've heard of that, right?
Yes,
Where
deep fakes are going to slightly be
they
different.
were.
Deep fakes aren't fully generative AI. Um, but yes, deep fakes are a thing, but deep fakes are getting better now. So do you think Donald Trump making it easier for these data centers to build these uh to build and expand upon in generative AI at the expense of the American consumer's wallet, knowing that generative AI leads to things like further deep fakes, or leads to things like Donald Trump making AI videos of him dropping diarrhea on his citizens? Like, do you view this as a good thing?
Uh, I see the good in it. I
What's okay?
think
What's
you're
the good?
asking two different questions that do not. Those things are not all correlated to each other.
Sure.
So
What's the good
I'm
specifically?
the
Like,
good.
what good comes from it?
Well, the good is going to be, whoever the companies that are building it, in some way, shape, or form, they got to be making money. Then you have the laborers to actually do the construction. They're making money, and then the second part. So that's the good part. That is a stimulation of economy for those people in that specific sector. Now, for the production of the AI, well, more and more people are learning how to utilize it. So again, you have to be able to take advantage of something that is being put out there. People are building their websites with AI and all of these different things. They're getting business ideas. So there's another good. Now, as far as putting out the deep fakes, that's a totally different thing. The issue is that people do not know how to sort through information properly,
Okay, let
and
me ask.
so
Let me just
that's
wait really
on the
quick.
fault of the consumer.
Before we get to deep fakes, do you think that as long as a business generates economic revenue and hires people, that it doesn't matter like what that business does essentially is null and void because the economic revenue is better. So like if we're saying, hey, this is a business that deals in sort of unethical practices, that's okay because they're stimulating the economy.
Um, Not necessarily.
Okay.
Again, I think there has to be nuance to that, you
Okay.
know,
So
because again,
let's say
you
we have
know,
a business. Let's say we have a business that's leading to increased electricity costs. It's leading to
mhm,
uh global issues in the environment, like global environmental issues, right? It's using up a ton of water, right? And in doing so, in that communities are literally going thirsty because they don't have access to the same water to the water that they used to have, right? It's also stealing from the people.
mhm.
So, like, let's say this business is going to, it's going to like, it's going online. It's going to different artists' page online, and it's literally taking their art and reproducing their art without their agreement and stuff like that. Would this business, if it was generating economic revenue, would you say this is a good business to keep around, or would you say, hey, we should probably regulate this business out of existence, essentially?
I don't, I wouldn't look at it as being black and white like that.
No, what
Like,
would be
let
the
me give you a
positives to come from
example
this?
from my hometown. Well, I outlined the positives, but everything else, it's I tell people this anytime it comes up. I live in a city that rapidly grew, like very, very, very quickly. I'm talking like 10, 15 years. Now all of a sudden, we were kind of a small town, blew up, and we really don't have the infrastructure designed to be a large city. So there's been a lot of problems. We've had a lot of, you know, local businesses up and go. We have people moving in that had higher bankrolls from different states, and they're buying up all the property, and they're making it really difficult for the locals to be able to stay here and run their businesses. Now, some people could look at that as being bad because, on one hand, a lot of things are more expensive because of it. Most people in my city can no longer afford to buy a home. And, like I said, a lot of the popular businesses and clubs and stuff like that, they've had to shut down. And so the locals see that negative side of it. And, we don't want that. But then the positive side is that there's also more opportunity. There's more places to work. They're taking up a lot of resources too. It's just like any place that grows and expands. A city basically
Okay, let me
is
just wait
the destruction of the
just to
nature.
get this away. There are zero positives, in my opinion, that outweigh the negatives of generative AI. Generative AI is destroying the planet. It's destroying communities. It is stealing art. It is bankrupting smaller mom and pop businesses because people are saying, "Well, I'll just start up an AI business like this, remove my over." Like for instance, like somebody could come in and be like, "Well, I'm going to start an AI uh an AI copywriting business," and they can come in and undercut on prices because they don't have the overhead, and then deliver a worse product. I don't see any positives from AI. Trump is fully endorsing this and pushing this through at the expense of the people. So if you can name me a specific positive, but I don't think those positives of it hires people outweigh the negatives that I've laid out to you here.
Okay, I hear your point. I understand what you're saying. My point is this happens everywhere in some way, shape, or form. So to say that Trump is specifically endorsing it is like saying
Trump
he's
specifically
the only
pushed
one that
through.
does it.
No, it's not. It's not saying he's the only one that does it. It's saying this is something that I disagree with him on and that I think makes him a bad president. He has pushed through AI because he believes it's the next thing we need to do. at the expense of the American people. Um, this isn't making a claim that he's
Right, but at
uh,
the expense of some American people.
at the expense of most American people.
You just said the same thing I said.
Yeah. Let me rephrase it. At the expense of most
Well,
American people. More Americans suffer from generative AI than they profit off of generative AI.
okay. Well, let me hit you with a question that you like to ask. What's your evidence of that?
What's my evidence of more Americans suffer? Because we have whole towns that are currently suffering, as opposed to the couple of people that are getting rich off of generative AI, like the guy that's ahead of the head of Chat GPT and whatever the fuck that company is. Those people are suffering. Those people are suffering way more than those people that are succeeding. And then my other thing is like, at what point do we say this suffering is worth it? How many towns need to go thirsty before for us to be like, I don't think it's worth it anymore? Right? I would say one town suffering because an AI data center is misusing water. I think that's one too many. You know?
Okay. Well, I can agree to that, but to prove your point, you said most people, and you only referred to one town, which does not make up
No,
most people
a bunch of
in the
towns. I
United
mean, I can
States.
pull up a list of towns if you want.
That would be great. But even then, I don't think you're going to get to the threshold of it equaling most people in the United States.
Okay, what amount of people is worth it? What amount of people in the U.S. Is worth it to force to suffer?
Well, for one, we have to verify the suffering. You know, you're telling me that these people are suffering. I don't know that. And I don't know if it's some article that was made that suggests that, you know, just again, citing that electricity is up 18% is not really evidence of the people suffering. You know, that's like one
I think you
metric
claiming I
in
have an
something
issue
that
with you
people have to
claiming that
pay every
it's
day.
yeah, I have a pretty big issue with you claiming that that's not evidence. Like it's very clearly evidence. I don't know what world that doesn't constitute evidence. Like rising electricity costs mean like if electricity costs are up across the board 18%, that means everybody is paying more for electricity. So I don't know where we say that wouldn't be a metric.
But what I'm saying is that doesn't constitute suffering. So we need to
When
define
most
exactly what you
Americans
mean
live
by suffering.
paycheck to wait, what percentage of Americans live paycheck to paycheck?
I don't know, but a lot do.
Okay, so if they had
I
if
know
they
for
had
sure
a
that that is a
if they
thing.
had an increase, so 67% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. 67%. If that
Mhm.
67% sees an increase in a bill every month that they're already struggling to pay because they live paycheck to paycheck, would that not constitute suffering?
Okay, my issue with using the word suffering is that that is a subjective term with how people feel. That's not
What
a
does that
term
matter?
related to what it matters is we're talking about money being spent. We're not talking about the
Okay, then
emotional
take
state
the
of
word
people.
suffering out of it. Let's just look at the material conditions of this. If 67% of
Right.
people who struggle to pay bills now has one of their bills
Hmm.
cost more, is this bad?
Yes, I would
Great.
agree with that.
Now couple that with also the fact that groceries are more expensive. Would this now go to further exacerbate these people's spending?
Of course.
Okay. Now, knowing that Donald Trump has directly contributed to a rise in grocery prices as well as a rise in electricity prices, would it be fair to say that Donald Trump has done something bad by increasing the burden on 67% of Americans who live paycheck to paycheck?
Mm, let me see that. I know there's something in there.
Well, you admit that it's bad
Because, yeah,
that
you
this has
definitely walked
happened.
me down that line.
Yeah, you've admitted it's bad. I've showed you how Donald Trump has done it. And so I don't know why it would be hard to say, yes, Donald Trump did something bad by exacerbating Americans' affordability for Americans who live paycheck to paycheck, which is 67% of them.
I guess I'd have to do more research on this, but I don't actually believe that the president has extreme direct influence over these specific things that people deal with. Like the president is operating at such a high level of in his position. There are countless jurisdictions that lead down to where the people are, like all the way down to the local level. And then, of course, if you're talking about 67% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck, well, that's not Donald Trump's fault.
I've not
only been in office
claimed.
less than a year.
I've not. Well, he was in office 4 years before that. I've not claimed that people living paycheck to paycheck is Donald Trump's fault. I've said that the exacerbation of that paycheck to paycheck check is his fault. When he enacts policies that directly lead to people having to pay more, that is his fault. That literally can be nobody else's fault but his. Unless you're claiming Donald Trump just isn't like the actual person in charge, then that's a different conversation.
I don't think I'm prepared for that one. I understand the point you're making, and you definitely walked me down that line and got me stuck. But like I said, I don't think it's that black and white, and that's why I can't just freely say, "Oh, it's bad." Like nothing is that simple.
Okay, then what you will need to do, I think what you would need to do is you'd need to go do a bit more research then, because it seems like you're making that claim or that statement that I don't think it's bad without fully knowing the breadth of what is happening.
Well, you gave one example of him greenlighting them building these data centers.
Yep, he has made it easier for data centers to be built. He has an AI first policy where he believes AI is a good thing. We can talk about his attacks on U.S. farms. His direct policy has led to an increase in farm bankruptcies of 55%. Specifically, we can look at how he has sent beef manufacturing to Argentina. He's upped the beef purchase from Argentina to, what was it? I think he upped it by 100 cubic tons, if I'm not mistaken. We can look at how that's directly due to his tariff policies. Same with the soy, Argentina taking control of soybean production throughout the world when it used to be us. We used to be like one of the number one providers in the globe for soybean production. It is now Argentina because he started a trade war with China. So China tariffed our soybeans and stopped purchasing from them. From us, they went and instead purchased from Argentina. This led to the U.S. having to bail out American farms in his first term by, I think it was $300 billion, was how much we had to pay in farmer bailouts because he ruined farms. This is also leading to an increase in grocery prices, again, on beef and products that contain soy. We can also look at how his attack on undocumented immigrants has led to farms becoming understaffed and throwing away more food instead of collecting the food and shipping it out. There have been some farms who have literally had to let people in their community just come and just eat whatever they wanted off the farm because they didn't have the staff to pick it. Both documented and undocumented workers have shown a decrease in showing up to agricultural sites out of fear of deportation. Even people who are legally here still fear deportation. And like I said, this led to, like I said, a 55% increase in farm bankruptcies. So, which has led to the increase in grocery prices. So it just seems like now when we add that onto the AI stuff, Donald Trump's policies seem to be really harming the average American.
Okay, I mean that's a lot better. I would argue that everything that you just outlined does not constitute the average American. Maybe at best you could make that argument with, let's
the average American doesn't go to the grocery store
everywhere.
Grocery prices are up everywhere in the country. There's nowhere that grocery prices are down.
Okay, I mean that's a normal thing. in every economy. So what I'm saying is, by saying that what he's doing is bad,
So it's
is,
okay. So what? So
to
wait,
me,
it's not bad. He did it because other people have done it.
right.
If other people
It's
jumped
just a
off a
part
bridge,
of,
should he?
it's
What?
well, jumping off bridges and
Has he exacerbated the
policy.
problem, KJ, via his policies?
I mean, that's people's opinion.
Okay.
Like
Well, I'd
I
like
said,
you to
it
do.
depends on where you are.
Sure. What I'd like you to do, KJ, we've been talking for 25 minutes. I'd like you to go research this a little bit and then call back next week after you've read up on this a little bit, and then we can have the conversation post that, because we're really just going to keep going in circles if the conversation leads to, hey, I know Trump did it, but other people did it, therefore it's not bad that Trump did it. So thank you for calling, KJ. Hope to hear from you next week with possible new information to tackle those topics. Hey, thank you all for watching this video. If you don't know me, I'm Jovan Bradley. I'm a leftist content creator who does debates, political commentary, gaming, and more. If this is your first video, thanks for sticking to the end, and I hope you subscribe. I post videos daily, and there are hundreds of past debates on my page for you to enjoy. Thank you to all my YouTube members. Your continued support helps me create as much as I can. Consider joining. A membership starts at $2.99 and gets you access to our community Discord, early access to videos, and more. Shout out to my Tier 4 members, Red Fairy DF, Ellie McReady, Not 3.6R, Sylvia Snow, Paul D, Zurith Moonpaw, Kazim, Never Again, Bamji, Emery Imogene, Ayla Ursus, Call Me Vel, Kelsey K, Jake Gorshander, Matthew Holloway, Vampy, Yemye, Mealy, and Dragon Nerd. Your continued support goes a long way in helping me continue the fight for equity, justice, and education. Thank you again for watching.